with people running in every direction and the occasional car adding to the confusion. The new masquerade has to wait. Finally, the traffic is cleared, and he shows himself to the town square. The masquerades all make their way onto the Sekapo field. It is forbidden for women to step on this area of the field.
The criteria for promotion in the society from the junior bench to the senior bench are really on the ability to perform these masquerades, not on the money you have or your political power or the family you come from.
Young ones are now getting interested in their culture. They were formerly abandoning it, that is an old tradition, something, after all, what is it? But now they are getting it, they are putting their interest into it.
We are normally taught by elders who have played it. They have played it before, so they are now old, we are now coming up. They have to teach us so that we will now teach the others that are following us or are coming behind, I mean.
One of the things that I've learnt is that Alagba is female, and she has this gap on her headdress. But, you know, Kalabari people, when they're talking about water spirits or animals, describe everything as he. They say, you know, on his head, there's this gap, and that's actually meant to be her vagina or her bottom.
It has a private part at the back. You see, when it is being decorated, when you go to the back, you see it, it's sort of V-shape. That V-shape signifies the private part of the masquerade.
The Alagba headdress shouldn't be seen on its own. It should be with the leopard skin costume, the fact that the men are sewn into their costume here, even though the main costume, the white costume, looks like long johns, it actually isn't. It's sheets that are sewn round their bodies.
You have the white, you have to sew it on you from your leg. They sew it, they sew this side, so it now looks like a trouser.
And they have little pillows on their bodies to make them look slightly pregnant.
Then you have the furopomaye. The furopomaye, you know, it looks like the belly, a big belly. It's like you're pregnant, sort of. Then you have the India cloths on it.
The boys also try to cover their hands when they hold the paddles that Alagba bangs his legs with.
Then you have the masquerade on you.
And can you see?
Say again?
Can you see out?
Yeah, you see. You will see clearly.
And do people know it's you when you play the masquerade?
No, people can never know. We are forbidding it. We forbid it in our town. Even my wife can never know. My wife can never know that I am playing masquerade.
I think a lot of women would have an inkling as to who's playing. Also, you can tell by their feet, generally, who's playing.
You don't expose, women don't expose them. Even if it's your son, you don't tell.
But do you think you know?
Yes, if you know, we know. We know, but you don't expose them.
Can you tell from their feet?
From the feet? From the playing actions, you will know. If Robin is playing a masquerade, I will immediately know this is Robin. Your leg can even be covered, but I will know the way you jump. The way Robin will jump, I will know, oh, this is Robin. This is Robin. Who is this man in this masquerade? Is it not Robin? Yes, I will know.
If you kind of make it difficult for people to make the connection between an individual and the play, then, you know, people, I think, tend to concentrate on the play and forget about the person of the player.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Greetings and salutations, one and all, this Monday, August 17th, 2026. Today's planetary picture is energized by air and fire elements, with Venus and Mercury in hot outer planet connections, creating a vibrant but sometimes ego driven atmosphere. The day is dominated by air and fire energies, Mercury in Leo and Venus in Libra, forming benefit aspects to Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And these outer planet connections can spark creativity, optimism, and a sense of possibility. But they also bring vague, grandiose ideas and ego based challenges. Mars in Cancer conjuncts Ceres, suggesting a focus on nurturing relationships and good intentions, but also potential self interest or over idealization. The moon in Libra adds a diplomatic, relationship oriented tone, while Saturn in Aries offers a grounding restraint before the upcoming Leo eclipse new moon. And our next new moon ritual ceremony will take place on Thursday, September 10th, 2026, in the zodiac sign of Virgo. We again continue to invite your support and participation in our fourth year of New Orleans International Voodoo Day, NOIVD. And welcome to another edition of Voodoo Hoodoo 101, powered, promoted, produced, and sponsored by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. Whether you're listening from the sacred streets of New Orleans, from other cities across America, from the Caribbean, South America, Africa, Europe, or anywhere else around the world, I want to thank you for joining us again tonight on this journey. Tonight, we gather not merely to discuss spirituality, tradition, or history. We gather because there is a calling taking place, a calling from the ancestors, a calling from the spirits, a calling from the communities that have carried African spiritual traditions through centuries of struggle, survival, and transformation. This podcast exists because too many people know the myths, but not the truth. Too many know the stereotypes, but not the science. Too many know the fear, but not the faith. And too many know the entertainment, but not the responsibility. Voodoo, Hoodoo, Ifa, Lukumi, Kandable, Palo, Kumina, Obia, traditional African religions, and countless other authentic African traditional practices and African derived spiritual systems have survived some of the most difficult conditions in human history. They have survived the transatlantic slave trade. They have survived colonization. They have survived criminalization. I'm with you. Please forgive me. I briefly lost my place. They have survived criminalization, colonization. They have survived ridicule, suppression, misrepresentation, and commercialization. And yet, here we stand, still alive, still evolving, still guiding, still healing. And nowhere is that story more visible than right here in New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is not simply a city, it is a crossroads. It is a spiritual archive. It is the living memory, the rhythms, the rituals, the language, the food, the music, the altars, the prayers, and the traditions found here represent generations of people who refused to allow their ancestral wisdom to disappear. But preserving a tradition and strengthening a tradition are two different things. This is where NOIVD enters the conversation. New Orleans International Vodou Day represents something larger than any single temple, house, society, practitioner, teacher, or community leader. It represents the possibility of creating stronger connections through the authentic African spiritual world. For too long, many of our communities have operated in isolation. Practitioners have operated in isolation. Practitioners separated by geography. Organizations separated by purpose. Elders separated from the youth. Traditional knowledge separated from modern opportunities. And meanwhile, the world continues to move forward. Technology advances, communication expands, communities organize, institutions build power. And the question before us is simple. How do authentic African traditional religions and African spiritual traditions not only survive, but thrive in the 21st century? That is tonight's question. And the answer is participation, the answer is commitment, the answer is collective effort. Every elder who shares knowledge strengthens the bridge to the future. Every initiate who remains dedicated to the path strengthens the lineage. Every researcher who documents authentic history strengthens the record. Every artist who honors ancestral values strengthens the culture. And every young person who chooses to learn instead of simply consume strengthens the movement. And every organization willing to collaborate strengthens the entire global family. New Orleans International Voodoo Day is calling for a new era of cooperation, not uniformity, not domination, not competition, cooperation, because diversity has always been a strength of African spiritual traditions. Different nations, different lineages, different rituals, different languages, different customs, yet all connected by a common recognition that spirit world matters, that ancestors matter, that community matters, that our relationship with the divine carries responsibilities as well as blessings. And so today we need greater participation from local practitioners here in New Orleans. We need greater engagement from national practitioners and organizations throughout the United States and the Americas. We need stronger relationships with our brothers and sisters throughout the Caribbean, Latin America, Canada, Europe, and Africa. We need scholars. We need healers. We need drummers. We need herbalists. We need historians. We need cultural workers. We need temple leaders. We need community builders. And most importantly, we need those willing to work, because traditions do not preserve themselves. Sacred spaces do not maintain themselves. Communities do not heal themselves. Future generations do not educate themselves. People do that. Committed people, purpose-driven people, people guided by spirit, guided by service. Imagine what becomes possible when authentic African traditional religious communities across the globe communicate more effectively. Imagine shared educational programs. Imagine cultural preservation projects. Imagine youth mentorship initiatives. Imagine international conferences. Imagine scholarship funds. Imagine documented oral histories from elders before those stories are lost forever. Imagine building support systems that protect sacred traditions while helping communities address modern challenges. That future is possible, but only if participation becomes action, only if interest becomes commitment, only if conversation becomes organization. The spirits have always worked through people. The ancestors have always worked through people. And history has always been shaped by people who understand that individual success means very little if the community is left behind. That is why this podcast matters. Voodoo Hoodoo 101 is not simply here to entertain. It's not here to hear the reverberation of the sounds of our own voices. It is here to educate. It is here to preserve. It is here to inspire. It is here to challenge misunderstandings while amplifying authentic voices. And it is here to help create pathways for cooperation among those who honor African spiritual wisdom throughout the New World and beyond. To the elders listening, we honor your sacrifice and stewardship. To the practitioners listening, we honor your dedication. To the seekers listening, we honor your curiosity. And to the young people listening, we honor your future leadership. And to those who may be hearing these traditions discussed seriously for the very first time, we welcome you with respect and with an open heart. As we begin this journey, let us remember that we are not merely inheritors of traditions. We are caretakers. We are bridge builders. We are storytellers. We are preservers of memory. We are participants in a living spiritual legacy that stretches across oceans, generations, and the worlds both seen and unseen. So let this moment be more than another podcast episode as I invite my beloved co-hosts and panelists and the live chat participants to please come in and join the conversation by way of your mic, your camera, or your picture, photo avatar, or by typing your questions and commentary in the chat. Please do like, share, follow, and subscribe. But let this be an ongoing, live, hot invitation, an invitation to learn, an invitation to connect, an invitation to organize, an invitation to build, an invitation to strengthen authentic African traditional religions and African spiritual practices wherever they are found. From New Orleans to Port-au-Prince, from Havana to Salvador, from Lagos to London, from Atlanta to Johannesburg, from the neighborhood temple to the international stage. The time for deeper engagement is now. The time for greater unity is now. The time for stronger commitment is now. Welcome, beloveds. Welcome to Voodoo Hoodoo 101, powered by New Orleans International Vodou Day. Welcome to year 4 of New Orleans International Vodou Day. May wisdom guide us. May the ancestors inspire us. May our actions honor the traditions we have inherited. And may the work we do together today, tonight, tomorrow, and moving forward in the next year become a blessing for generations yet to come. Drums rise, bells ring softly as we open another powerful year of New Orleans International Vodou Day. And again, we appreciate your continued support and participation live here on platform by way of our live chat. Thank you so much, Brother Ray Alexander, for your continued support and participation. We certainly do appreciate you always in the virtual spaces. Greetings and salutations, Apostle Hudson, 1963. We certainly do appreciate your participation and continued support. And here on the ground, hands-on, grassroots, Daniel Neal, we certainly do appreciate you as well as your participation, support, and promotion of the podcast here in the virtual spaces. Thank you, Ray, for joining us here on panel tonight, and our beloved moderator, the Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez. Thank you so much for your continued support and participation. Again, thank you to our individual and collective Facebook pages, profiles, and groups, our LinkedIn, international, as well as multilingual listenership and participation in NOIVD. Thank you so much to our YouTube listenership, as well as our Twitter X, and always our IG Instagram audience. Greetings and salutations to you and yours, Ray Alexander, and the beloved moderator, Queen Mother, Sister Tony Val Martinez. What say you this evening, and how you doing?
Hello, everyone in the listening audience on the panel. Nice to see you, Brother Ray Alexander, on the panel. How's it going tonight?
Thank you, Elder Tony. Can you hear me? Elder Tony, can you hear me?
Very low.
Just
You're distant.
One moment.
All is a blessing. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. Just sitting here, thinking I did something I shouldn't have did. I watched the world newscast before I came on the show. And there's so much trouble in the world, like our beloved Bob Marley and the Wailers said. It's so much going on right now with the weather. The universe is indeed angry. And we need to collectively come together to try to appease it some kind of way, because we on a slippery slope. I mean, I was watching all the flooding that was going on across the United States, and it made me think about when Katrina happened. The rest of the United States was like, it was our fault. We were Sodom and Gomorrah. We brought it on ourselves. God was punishing us, and et cetera, et cetera. So as I'm watching the news, I'm thinking, what y'all did to piss off the Creator, because they getting floods. Hawaii get hit with a hurricane, a Category 1, just devastated them. And I was really shocked to find out that they hadn't had an actual hurricane in 125 years. What could be labeled a hurricane?
My goodness.
So, and it devastated the island. I was like, that's a Category 1. Because in New Orleans, a Category 1, we don't even, that's a regular rain day for us. But it devastated, and the ruling powers, while all this is going on, fires burning up in DC and everywhere, and floods and all of this, and they constantly talking about bombing the dookie out of other countries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how?
I've always said we've fallen out of touch and out of sync with nature. And it's not just that, many of you work in sort of artificial environments with, windows that don't open, or, You're running on central air. You don't, put your feet in grass. You don't have, gardens, growing. And we have, as a society, are out of sync with the sun and the moon. And certainly we are out of sync with nature. And I continue to teach, as I was taught, that voodoo is indeed nature. It's not just, ritual and spell work and acknowledging and honoring the dead, binding and cursing and cleansing and the whatnot. But indeed, it is nature. And it starts from the most basic building blocks, what we eat, what we drink, what we listen to, what we absorb in, what we take in, through our skin, through our bodies, through our spiritual mediums, and allow to sort of disrupt our frequencies, if you will. So we are indeed out of touch with nature. Nature is certainly pushing back. The earthquakes, are just overwhelming right now throughout the world, as well as the other climate change and other, disasters that Sister Tony referenced that we are confronting as a global community. But it's also affecting, our spiritual frequencies and our intellectual frequencies and how we process and deal with stress. And you might think, oh, well, I'm, not really dealing with stress, but we're absorbing everything. It's in our water, just like the microplastics. It's in our soil. It's in our air. And so we must begin first and foremost with ourselves and grounding and getting in touch again with the elements as they manifest within us, but also around us, and regenerate that connection and teach each other to wake up and regenerate that connection. If we're ever going to develop not only a strong defense against all that's happening, but certainly survive what's happening and begin to rebuild and continue to rebuild a future that we wish to live and exist in, and that we would want our children and our descendants and our grandchildren to live and exist in. What say you, Ray?
Hello, divine friends. I was thinking a lot of what Elder Tony was talking about in regards to the balance of the earth. And that's really major to me, is how mankind and spirit and nature kind of walk in step and balance. And I feel like there's been a lot of importance that we've been neglecting over the years. First it was the bees, and then, we started to get all these viruses and diseases out of nowhere, and then various animals with weird behavior. The sharks are coming closer. You know what I mean? Animals are moving to new environments quicker. And I just feel like there's a big mess of mankind just refusing to respect and revere the Great Spirit. This planet is a gift. And I'm thankful every day I'm alive. I'm thankful every day I touch soil. I touch trees. I try to walk within with good character. I try to make sure that I live a life of reciprocity. I try to make sure that I'm present. I'm thankful for the spirit of my home that gives me shelter. I'm thankful for the trees that provide shelter and air. And so I think the journey right now is we're so disconnected with social media, even from one another, let alone the planet itself and the animal kingdom, plants. And the journey would be consciously choosing to engage each other and consciously choosing to try to seek alignment. So I think that's where I stand in regards to kind of what's happening. It's kind of heartbreaking to kind of see the separation of mankind from spirit, so severely. And as that gap grows, we start to see more of the societal erosion from walking less in communion with spirit.
And I agree with every word that you just shared, and certainly appreciate your participation and support on the platform. However, I don't blame social media necessarily or per se or singularly. I would say it's our relationship to technology, and how we use technology, how we choose to sort of govern technology for ourselves and in our lives. It's a two-edged sword, meaning it certainly can be a tool, an implement in the right skilled hands, but it also can be, a weapon and dangerous in the wrong hands, or in certainly the unskilled hands. And again, our disconnect from nature, I believe, has been slowly sort of replaced by or intercepted by technology. Not just certainly our attention, but even our memory. Many of us don't memorize things the way that we should or used to, because all your phone numbers are in your phone or in your device. How many remember their phone numbers the way that we once did? And I'm not talking 100 years ago. I'm talking high school, junior high. Sister Tony and I, we had a list of phone numbers memorized. Your parents, your best friends, just to start, the list. Remembering addresses is challenging for many people today without technology, without a device. And again, certainly, technology has its benefits. GPS can be beneficial. Location sharing has its benefits and can fill certain needs, and bring a certain usage to the community when applied uh, properly and correctly and communally. But it is our lack of attunement with nature and ultimately ourselves. We are nature. We are a product of nature. You might say we are a fruit, if you will, a vegetable, a production of nature itself. So the further removed we are from nature and what's organic and what's natural, it is a strong implication of how far removed we are from really being in touch with ourselves and ultimately with God, as we might see it.
And just to show an example, when you were speaking about the telephone, just recently with my daughters, we were at a fair and I was entrusted with all the cell phones and we got separated. And I wasn't worried. I was like, oh, well, they'll just ask somebody, can they use their phone and call me? Neither one of my daughters could remember a phone number I've had for 20 years.
Yes,
I
indeed.
sat on the corner for over an hour until they found where I was.
Yes,
Two
indeed.
daughters, grown daughters, could not remember a phone number I had for 20 years. They remembered the area code, the first 3 numbers, but the last 4 numbers they couldn't remember. To this day, being survivor of Katrina, we didn't have a lot of people with cell phones. We had phone books that we had people number written down in. And that saved me during Katrina, when I got to a landline, because landlines were still working because they didn't need electricity and stuff like other things did. And the people that had cell phones, their batteries was dead, the cell towers was down. I just pulled out my phone book and went straight to the person I wanted to call. So to this day, in my phone case, I have a short list tucked away of important phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
My kids' phone numbers and my sister's phone number. Well, one sister, because she gonna tell everybody else. But I have a little short list tucked away where I don't go in a part of my phone case for emergencies. If I'm grabbing my phone, I'm grabbing my numbers, because it's not just. Yeah, and I always tell everybody, because if you don't have no internet service, you can't go on Facebook and say mark safe. You know what I'm saying? Until you get there. Hurricane Katrina had states all the way up into Memphis didn't have power from Katrina. Mississippi didn't have power. Parts of Texas didn't have power. So you have to travel a couple of days, depending on how you traveling, until you can get to the comfort of that. You know, technology, I use my Facebook pages to teach history and discuss current events as they affect Black people. And I have another page that's simply Black accomplishments of today, not history, but what Black youth are doing today, what Black people are doing today. So that gets in my algorithm, and I'm in touch with other people that's doing the same thing. It's not that many, but when I do put up something, like we went to the Red Restaurant and I put those pictures up, that post got 1,500, got 1,500 looks. And I can put something up historical and I'll get 35. If you put up a happy birthday to somebody, that'll get 800 or 900 hits on it. You know, people got to start learning. We got to learn from our past, because like my mama used to say, it's nothing new in this world. A rose is still a rose by any other name. And all they keep doing is the same thing, but changing the name. But you won't know that if you don't know what it was named in the past. So that you can go and see it and know it and see it re-happening again. You know, go outside, walk in your front yard barefooted. I mean, we so scared of cutting our feet. When I was growing up, we didn't have all of the stuff that we need for kids today. You didn't have car seats. Kids rode in the back of pickup trucks. We didn't wear bike helmets. You fell off your bike, you wiped off the blood with spit and you kept going. You drank out the hose pipe, for goodness sake. Up to your lips. That's why we don't worry. Our generation didn't worry about COVID. Because once you done drank out that hose pipe, you immune. They gotta come a little harder. You got to come a little harder, because that hose pipe been laying in that yard with all kind of bugs, with dirt stuck on it and everything, and you drinking out of it. Our parents didn't know where we were. They ain't had no GPS and trackers on us, but almost 12 hours a day, we was out there running free, hugging trees.
But certainly the dangers,
we was on the waterways.
But certainly the dangers were different. The predators were different.
Yes.
And
yes,
so,
they were hidden. Were they different, or was it that we just didn't get the reports because we didn't have social media?
They may have been both hidden and different.
Because even when I was young, running the streets, everybody knew what street not to go down because of Chester the molester.
Yeah.
You know, we knew, our parents knew, we heard the whispers. But now with social media, where it's so much, where it's really out there and you can see it and put a face on it. But every community I know had those type people. And we told our children about those type people and to stay away from those type people. And I think they've gotten a little bolder too. I think they've gotten a little bolder.
And we
because everything is so lax.
We would have also been, I think, perhaps a little bit more likely to listen to at least some of what our parents say without sort of the constant interference and background noise that young people are getting today from, you know, public demonstration, TV, pop culture, social media. But beloved, I certainly appreciate and am grateful for both you and Alexander for your Ray Alexander for your continued support and participation. But I really have to make an announcement. It's not a very happy one. I'm getting word now that Priestess Miriam made her transition today. And so we certainly want to light a candle and send up a prayer for Priestess Miriam. She's been a figure in New Orleans voodoo since, I would say, the late 70s here on Rampart Street. And for those of us who knew her or interacted with her, did business with her, were touched by her. It's certainly a heartbreaking announcement. She is certainly indeed Brother Ray Alexander, legend and icon, and beloved here in New Orleans and internationally. So we want to send up our prayers and our thoughts and light a candle and introduce her once she's settled in the spirit realm into the realm of the ancestors as a part of our regular ancestral acknowledgement. So again, thank you so much for everyone's continued support and participation of New Orleans International Vodou Day. Please join us, volunteer, donate, sponsor, support our ongoing GoFundMe campaign, and get ongoing information by visiting www.vodouday.org, www.vodouday.org. Remembering that all is truly and indeed a blessing. Until next time, divine, all blessed, peace and love, joy and prosperity, serenity to you and yours. Odabo, Ayibobo, Asheo, and good night.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Fix yourself there.
Away! Atom! Ewa!
When the Haitian Revolution erupted in 1791, thousands fled the flames of war and found refuge in a familiar land, New Orleans. But their arrival didn't just change the city, it reshaped its soul. These Haitian refugees, free people of color, enslaved Africans and French Creoles, brought new rhythms, recipes, and resilience. They revitalized the city's Creole culture, strengthened the French language, and influenced everything from architecture to religion. Their impact ran so deep that many of the city's oldest families trace their roots straight back to Saint-Domingue, now Haiti. If you never knew New Orleans Creole heartbeat pulsed with Haitian blood, hit follow. I'm diving deep into the hidden roots that built this city's culture.
Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this white in my DNA, yeah, I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees. It's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner. Oh, do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she's straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Mitch, you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Westside. He looks me in my eye and says, you only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down.